Welcome, gang. So this is a tutorial using D&D Beyond, Roll20, Chrome, Discord to run your D&D games. Um, I'm going to go into, and not every aspect, but highlight the important aspects I feel are necessary to run your game, and Chrome also. Um, First, I feel it's important to have a second screen. Um, you can have your game, Roll20, maybe the map's up. I have it on the screen on the right, and then I have my character sheets or my monster character sheets on the screen on the left. What that allows me to do is click a button on the character sheet or the monster character sheet, and it rolls in Roll20. And I feel like that's important. You can also pull up other staged assets. Say you need to pull in a map, which of course you probably wouldn't be doing during a session. You should probably have that set up ahead of time. Um, and it just makes things a lot easier if you have two screens to work with. I may even go to three screens. Right now I have actually Discord on a separate computer altogether because it just doesn't need to be on the same computer as, and when you're running a bunch of programs, obviously how many things you have running can impact your performance of your computer depending on what kind you're using. Um, so that's briefly about that. Um, Roll20 has three memberships. I'm not going to get into the details of everything about them, but the free membership um, allows you to, use certain features of Roll20, but it doesn't have a lot of space for storing your assets. I would say if you're using the free membership, I wouldn't store anything on there besides tokens, simply because you don't want to keep having to recreate tokens. But you can easily sort of recreate a map. So once your tokens are made, and I wouldn't recommend creating every single token for the game, I would only create the tokens that are necessary. Like say you're running Rime of the Frost Maiden. I would only focus on things that are specific to that game and that environment, um, and create those tokens for that. Now, there are some tokens that come with the D&D Beyond module, but obviously we all know a lot of things have been printed since then, from Tome of Beasts, which I think they've got a lot of options there, Creature Codex, and other monster manuals. I think there's something called Monster Manual Expanded, which is good, and you know, I've heard good things about Ghostfire, but I haven't had time to explore that yet. So having a second screen, to look at those assets and look at descriptions and stuff, and you can also pull, you know, specifics from your maps, room descriptions, that sort of thing from your second screen and post them to the game. So that's all about that. The upper tier memberships, Plus and Pro, are mostly about, I feel like they're mostly about space. Pro allows you to run API, and also you can actually move your maps from one game to another, which is nice. But primarily, I would recommend storing your assets in highly organized folders, not on Roll20. Things can happen; they can make updates, and I've had things happen where, I had maps on there and I've lost them for whatever reason, and sometimes it's not always clear why. But if also you can run out of spacing issues. So as far as your maps, I wouldn't import or drag any maps in or assets in that are greater than 10K. 10K. That used to be the limit. I think they recently raised it to 20K, but I wouldn't recommend storing assets that large. You want to keep things between 5 and 10K, really, with your tokens obviously being a lot smaller than that. And as far as how to store your tokens and your assets, so this is D&D Beyond. you know, each of these could be its own folder, right? Um, Now, some of these folders are going to be larger than others, like humanoid. Humanoid's going to have, orcs and goblins and troglodytes. And so this is where Chrome becomes key. I think you can, on Chrome, you can create various folders, and I'll show you kind of how I did mine. Like, say you have a bunch of monstrous races, which is what I call a lot of the humanoids. Um, you can create a folder called monstrous races. And then you can see all these different folders that I have in here. Um, and of course, I haven't fully updated this yet, but you can, specify, okay, what kind of goblins do you have? Or I think ones that's more finished are kobolds. Yeah. So these, I can just pull it up. Bam. I don't have to search on, through a monster manual or something like that. And then it's here. And we'll get into this later, but Beyond20, when you download it, it allows you, it'll create these buttons right here. And what this will allow you to do is roll, click on this button and it'll roll to hit and damage in Roll20. So you're rolling from D&D Beyond into Roll20. Also, you can click here and it'll show your characters what kind of monster they're fighting. So that's what I would recommend. And you can see I have a lot of tabs here, and obviously not all these are finished. But that's what I would recommend. That's, as a DM, you kind of have to be organized. So you can see I have other things. This is the breakdown of giants and stuff like that I have. So you wanna be very organized, especially as a DM, if you're going to do this kind of run your games from one game to another. Um, it's it takes time, and you never really finish it. But really, you only need what you're going to be using for the session. Um, I know people like to world build and stuff like that, but what I've found is world building doesn't really help the session, and there are books about this. I think by Kobold Press, and talks about this if you look at some of their books. Um, so that's that. Um, and you know they used to call these demi-humans, so I use that for you know races that are you know tend to be more character races. Um, and yeah, so that's basically that. Um, Going back to Roll20, um, so let's say you're creating a game. You're going to just click on create a game. The character sheet doesn't necessarily matter. Let's say it's Rime of the Frost Maiden. Let's just create another game like Rime of the Frost Maiden. So it'll bring you to a page like this. Then you want to go into game settings. So is it a public game? Yes. Um, uh, Background image, not important. Not going to get into that. Um, Allow players characters to create their own characters. No, because you're going to be using D&D Beyond. Allow players to transfer characters. No, because you're going to be using D&D Beyond. Game settings, you don't need to change anything in here, I believe. But um, if you want to come back later and change like the defaults in here, like if I would not recommend turning on vision for your tokens because it's going to slow down Roll20. I made that mistake. I would leave the vision off for the characters. For the PCs, for the player characters, you can turn it on. And this is opacity, how I believe it's how bright the game is. And then you would choose character sheet, which you could choose this character sheet, but you're not going to be using it. And you don't want it to be NPC. You can leave this on yes, but you're not going to be using it. These things always roll advantage. The reason I would do that is it's just faster. to determine if your characters are, you know, these will these other options will, some of them will ask you for prompts. Like if it says toggle, it's going to query you and ask you, okay, do you want to roll with advantage? Just roll with advantage. If you're not using it, just use the one on the left. That's pretty much what everyone does. Um, Never whisper rolls. That's fine because I don't have a lot of secret rolls. Um, you know, once you start running games, you want to be sort of efficient. Um, I always put auto roll damage and crit. So what that does is it'll show you the damage automatically after you roll and crit. Or if you crit, it'll roll that damage as well, which is nice. Um, these you're not going to touch. Add dex to initiative. What that allows you to do, if some people roll the same number for initiative, we'll add the dex. Um, Sometimes this doesn't always work for whatever reason. These you can pretty much leave off. This is more Roll20. There are features you can go in and say, global save modifier, save a bonus to saving throws. You can go in there and change that. But you can leave those off for now. All this stuff I would leave the same. And I think that's pretty much it. None of these things you can just save changes. Once you've done that, you've pretty much set your game for Roll20. Now, a couple more things is you want to bring up, yeah, boom. So that's your, image for your Rhyme of the Processment game. Now, tokens are really, really kind of nice to have. Roll20 has this kind of token marker set that hasn't changed in a long time. So I'll be showing you in a different video where you can find some basically free tokens which you can use for your games, which are kind of cool. The rest of this down here isn't used or necessary that much, so I'm not going to really get into like how you create a discussion for your game or anything. Like you can explore that on your own. And then let's go ahead and launch the game. So once you come in here, you'll see a page like this, which obviously isn't super exciting, but Roll20 has recently updated its tool set. You'll see these tools on the left, and we'll be going through each of these in the next video.